All right, welcome back to another edition of the Franklin Community High School Career Exploration Project. We have with us today Mr. Lance Marshall, and Lance is the Assistant Athletic Director at Franklin College, and he is also the head baseball coach. So, first of all, Lance, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, and holding things down over there on Brannigan Boulevard, I'm sure.
Oh, exciting times. It's been fraught with challenges, but there's still an upbeat kind of a vibe on campus. So guys are excited to get going for our spring season and all the students being back on campus this Monday.
Awesome. So we finally get some sense of normalcy there. So just give me a little overview of what you do, both as an assistant athletic director and a baseball coach, and kind of how what your path was to get to this.
Sure. Yeah. My current responsibilities, I do some facility scheduling and event management in terms of the assistant athletic director piece and some compliance as well to make sure that we are in compliance with NCAA rules. Baseball wise, I'm in charge of all aspects of our program. We run a fall season, we run a spring season. Recruiting takes up a lot of time. We spend a lot of time out and about in the summer doing those kind of things and scheduling games and running practices and trying to build the most successful program we can build. I think as far as my background, I played, obviously when I was younger, played 3 sports in high school, and then moved on to play in college to play baseball, and then moved on to have an opportunity to work for the Chicago White Sox, and moved on to have an opportunity to get my master's degree while coaching baseball as a graduate assistant, and just gradually kind of worked my way. And quite honestly, never heard of Franklin, Indiana. When the job came open, I lived out in the western suburbs of Chicago and looked at a map, and I thought it was in Franklin County. And then I soon found out it was in Johnson County, and that was a lot closer to Indy, and I was really excited about that. So had some great opportunities, had some great mentors along the way, a lot of coaches. My college coach is still in contact with me on a frequent basis. One of my other college coaches has been a scout for the Tampa Bay Rays for the last 20 years, 15 years, I guess. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed to be around some really good people.
Yeah. So is this kind of a path that you always thought you would go down, or what led you down this path? Now, I'm assuming professional baseball was the first priority. You were going to be the MLB Hall of Famer, but did you always know you wanted to be obviously involved in baseball and involved in athletics to a larger degree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from a young age, I loved everything about it. I loved all the sports, really. But really, the biggest influence on me, my high school coach was outstanding. He was really good. He's in the Illinois High School Coaches Hall of Fame. But my first college coach was the gentleman that's a scout for the Rays. But the guy that I ended up playing for up in Chicago at Elmhurst was he made it fun. And it was hysterical every day walking into practice that we were going to work hard, but we were going to have fun, and he was going to make it entertaining. And he's one of the funnier human beings I've ever met in my life, and was able to sort of translate that into a kind of a fun, hardworking method of preparing for our seasons. So at that point, I was hooked. I was like, if I can do this would be a pretty darn good life. And he, like I said, I have the greatest respect for the guys that have really had an influence on me. And he's certainly one of them. His name is Bob Fabrizio. Just a terrific gentleman.
Okay. Obviously, you're involved in sports. You coach baseball. You're around that all the time, so that's a good thing for you. What are some of the other pros in your job, and what are some things that you're just like, yeah, I could go without that?
Well, the stuff that I love is the interaction with the student athletes. I mean, we've got great guys in our program, and I love dealing with them on a day-to-day basis. I have really wonderful colleagues to work with as well that are coaching other sports, and I try to learn from everyone. I mean, I'm one of the more veteran coaches here, but I'm still learning. I'm still a lifelong learner in my mind, and have a growth mindset that I've adopted, that I'll continue to grow and continue to learn from different people, no matter the age or the experience level. But the pros are definitely, on the field, the competition is so fun to watch our guys get after and compete and push each other to be their best. it's so much fun, and winning is fun. I mean, winning's fun. Winning championships is fun. Going to NCAA tournaments is an awful lot of fun, and seeing those guys and their hard work all kind of come together and be so rewarding is really a special thing. Things that aren't so great. I mean, sometimes we're squeegeeing snow off a tarp. Sometimes we're pumping water out of right field with our rubber boots on, and there are some field maintenance things that are never fun, but they're part of the deal. So I probably can't list enough positives, but I think when I was younger, somebody told me, find something that you would do if you didn't get paid to do it. And I think the old phrase is something like, you'll never work a day in your life. It's kind of cliche, but there's truth to it. I mean, if there's something you're really passionate about doing, and for me, it's being around baseball, being around those guys, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to show up every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you enjoy it, you love it, it's been a passion of yours for forever, then it's not going to feel like work when you're just helping other people and watching baseball. So that's
Right.
Always a good thing. As far as, you go, obviously you've been a coach for 20, 22, 23 years there at Franklin College. And so it's been a good ride for you, successful. What do you think is, as far as your personality or some characteristics that you have, has made you successful? And what would be some personality traits, characteristics that someone may struggle with in the roles that you have?
Wow, great question.
I told you it's that Franklin College journalism degree.
That's right. I love it. I love it. I would say probably my biggest asset is just determination, and focus. I think, we're pretty laser focused on helping our guys develop and using baseball sort of as a vehicle for them to learn even life lessons, because sometimes you're going to fail, you're going to struggle, you're going to go 0 for 3 and strike out 3 times, but there's game 2 and you need to get back up and get ready to go play, and being able to flush those things. So I think probably my philosophical approach to things is a real positive. I hope and think that maybe it's a positive influence on our student athletes. And, to that end, there's nothing better than going to former players' weddings and meeting their children and all those types of things. I think I've been to three former player weddings here in the last 3 or 4 months. So, those are constant. But the real rewarding piece of that too is you get there and you see 15 guys that they played with, and those relationships and that camaraderie still exist sometimes 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road. But I think the biggest thing, if you want to be a college coach, is you got to have an organizational skill set. I think you obviously have to have a knowledge base of the sport, and then you have to enjoy interacting with people. I mean, so much of my job is about recruiting and dealing with guys and helping them off the field, not just on the field, but helping them throughout the course of the year. And those are all things I really enjoy being able to be a part of and have a hand in their success.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to go down kind of the path that you're on, whether it's a baseball coach or assistant athletic director, how do you think, what would you tell them how to prepare?
Well, I think playing the sport to some extent, not everybody can play in college. And there are quite a few folks now who didn't maybe play in college that are coaching at the college level in varieties of sports. But I think for me, the key was to play in college and then to be able to go on to get my master's degree via a grad assistantship as an assistant baseball coach. I think in higher education, most places require an advanced degree. So you're going to need your master's degree if you want to become a head college coach, maybe not as you're working your way in, but I think those are keys. I think learning and picking people's brains. I mean, I get a lot out of our professional development. I've spoken at quite a few clinics, just continuing to nurture that knowledge base to make you as knowledgeable as you can be. And as you start out your coaching career in particular, I think you can go to a clinic and feel like, man, I don't know anything. Like I need to learn all kinds of stuff. And then as you start going, you kind of develop your own philosophy and you start kind of cherry picking the better ideas that you think will kind of meld into what your program is doing. So that's typically been I would say of most of the folks that I am familiar with, that's been the process for most of them, playing, coaching, but you could be a student manager and learn an awful lot if you weren't playing in college and volunteer your time. And that's kind of how some of those guys, especially in Division I, they'll have volunteers that will kind of work their way up to a paid position. Typically, those folks get paid. It's just not a salary. It's more camp and clinic and that kind of thing. But no, I think just continue to network and get out and meet as many folks in that industry as you can, and volunteer sometimes. I was, as a kid, I remember going out to my local high school's practice. I was probably 8 years old. And I was just curious. I wanted to be around it. And I'd walk over, and the coach would always throw some baseballs at me at the end of the practice that were all kind of cut up. But for me, that was pretty awesome. Got to take those home and go hit them. And a high school coach was talking to me, and I was 8 years old. It was a pretty neat deal.
Yeah, I mean, just getting kind of any kind of involvement that you can, and getting the knowledge, even if you don't play, that's definitely going to be helpful for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So last question, going to get you out of here on this one. Just some general advice for high school students, anything that you think may help.
Wow. I would suggest getting involved in as much as you can possibly get involved in, and keep your head above water, especially academically. But there's so many opportunities out there that you might not even be aware of. And if you don't open the door to attempt to do those things, you may regret it later. So this is a great time, I think, as a high school student, college student, to really kind of sample some different things and see what's out there. But follow your passion, follow your heart, follow your dream. Good things are going to happen if you do that. I think that's probably my best advice. Follow your passion, but don't be afraid to look around once in a while and see what else is out there in terms of an opportunity.
Yeah, and even the opportunities that you don't know out there, if you think of it, then you can make that the opportunity for you. So once again, Lance, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. A lot of fun.
Lance Marshall, Assistant Athletic Director and Head Baseball Coach at Franklin College.